This is September 1st, 2023. Happened to find the goats today while I'm making another goat video. I'm just saying this to prove that I'm not making shit up. I just got an email from the city saying that they start the grazing in April. A couple of things worth mentioning. Look at the weather. Yesterday it was 96. Today it's going to be a high of 75. That type of ridiculous temperature swing is becoming normal, unfortunately, and the habitat has to deal with that. In addition to that, we unleash livestock upon it. Other notables: this is the first time I've seen sheep and goats together. First time. Another notable: this area gets mowed and grazed, so the excuse that the goats are cheaper than hiring human labor is out the window. What's the next notable? Show me the person in charge. Anywhere. Another notable: this is a natural water channel, and that's where the goats are focused on. Sadly, that's one of the only places you can find native plants anymore, and that's where the goats focus. Those are the first plants that are wiped out. Another notable: the city has six of these herds, 5 to 6 of these herds going at any time. That is a lot of animals. Just look at how they're congregating at these trees, and look at the bottom of the trees. This is typical. We always prioritize getting rid of vegetation over doing anything about litter. I just walked a little further to get another angle, basically to confirm that there isn't a herder or supervisor hidden somewhere that I just didn't film. But like I always say, what would the difference be? They don't change the goat's behavior whatsoever. The goats are, and the sheep in this case, are just left to eat anything and everything. Native, invasive. We got a dead one. That's common. You can even see that mowed section. Again, where's the person in charge? I want you to take note of the plants in there that are slightly different than the yellow ones. You know, the yellow dead fire fuel. There is a different plant mixed into here. We'll talk about that. Look at the bank of the water channel. It's just beaten to hell. That's called erosion caused by livestock. That's sedimentation of a water source, defecation in a water source, and the removal of all native plants from that water source, with the exception of the ones that are so big that the goats can't get to the top of. Just one more shot. Feel free to show me the person in charge. September 17th, 2023. I am returning to check out the results of the goat grazing. And as you can see, trash continues to be perfectly acceptable. It's only plants that we have waged war on. You can see that this fire fuel is acceptable for whatever reason. All right. Trampled to shit. Ugly. See piles of poop everywhere. Note, my dogs are not with me because I know this is going to be way too dangerous. This is covered in the seeds of the invasive plants that the goats are supposedly helping get rid of by getting them to the soil faster for the next generation. Speaking of, all right, you see what's popping up? This is broadleaf fillery. I call it the goat plant, the goat shit plant. It's one of the first ones to always follow the goat grazing. And you see the annual grasses are already popping back up. Remember, this is 17 days after they used goats and sheep this time to solve this. Are things shorter? Sure. Is there a lot of it still remaining? Absolutely. This is that one native plant that the goats don't like, but it seems like nothing likes it. Some of it still got kind of trampled. Look at the hooves, the hoof marks. Look at the ground. You just can't have that many animals walking over the same spot over and over and over again without it becoming compacted soil. And I read this BS propaganda about them making the soil better by turning it up and pushing vegetation down into it. Number one, the only vegetation they'd be pushing down into it is the wrong vegetation, in this case the seeds of the invasives, but you can see that that's not even, the soil improvement is not happening. Obviously plenty of the non-natives still here. Yeah, you got your poop pretty much everywhere, but then you have these special poop accumulation sites everywhere. And then you get to these areas where, I mean, the goats literally acted like a weed whacker and just chopped it up. It's still here. You know, the whole point is that we're afraid of fire. We're afraid of too much vegetation management. You see the walking lines. So in a lot of these cases, this is just trampled to hell. And then right to the left of the walking paths, you still have the non-native grasses. This is yellow flower tarweed that the goats don't like. Funny thing is, it's becoming the only native plant in the entire city boundary, because the goats eat everything except for it, and now that one plant is able to dominate. Look at this. This is just hideous, but we think it's great. So now we get to the water corridor, where you actually will get some other native plants, and they were obviously eaten down to nothing. There's the wonderful reeds that red-winged blackbirds and other birds like to perch on and sing on and attract their mates. Well, not anymore, and certainly nothing can live or hide down in here anymore. It's sad enough that animals have to try to survive in these tiny corridors between human development, but then we destroy that too. And let's look at the damage they did to the trees. Same story with the reeds. And here we go. It's the goat line, as I call it. About as high as they can get. Everything down below damaged, even bark missing. And now this plant is stressed and forced to try to recover from the damage it sustained instead of just proceeding with its normal growth cycle. Yeah, they really liked the bark on this one. I don't think this is even a native tree, but regardless, you see the effect the goats have. Up here we have the true fire threats development. Anyway, excuse me as I walk past a field of goat shit and fire fuel and invasive plant seeds. Already coming back. It's amazing how the goats supposedly don't hurt the trees or other vegetation, even if they nibble on them, yet they aren't ever allowed to come up near the plants that were planted by humans for decoration's sake. In the meantime, the areas that aren't grazed get mowed. Mowing and grazing, mowing and grazing. You could just plant something beneficial.